All right, so let's jump right into chapter 3, looking at ecology. And really, when you look at ecology and you study the earth and ecosystems, you really want to understand what makes earth such a good place for living things and for life. So the biosphere is all of the realm of life on earth, anywhere that living things exist. It's the sum of all of the habitable ecosystems on earth. So anywhere there's a habitat. Where ecology is the study of the interrelationships between living things and their physical environments. And so really it's just studying how living things interact with each other and how living things interact with their environments. So organisms both affect their environment and they are affected by it, and they also affect each other. If I could sum up all of ecology in one statement, it would just be that everything is connected to everything else. Biodiversity is when we look at the number of species in an area, and the more species, the more diverse that area is. We want to have species richness. We want to have a wide variety of different species of living things, but we also want to have a species evenness when it comes to making sure that the ecosystem is balanced. You can't have too many of one organism or too many of another. It affects everything else. A biome is a large area with a fairly consistent environment that is home to a set of organisms that are suited to it. There's a lot of factors that affect the biome, and we're going to look at that. An ecosystem is just a limited area. It's smaller than a biome. Living and non-living things interact in the ecosystem. A lot of times you'll see ecosystems also related to food webs and food chains. But a habitat is even smaller than that, and it's drilling down to just the small part of the ecosystem that the organism lives in and prefers to stay in, and that's their habitat. So when you walk through, let's say, the Jacksonville Zoo, and you're going through the different exhibits, you really are looking at the habitat of that animal. And the zoo works really hard to make sure that the area the animal lives in really mirrors what their habitat would be in the wild. So that's where it lives. And then you have a niche, which is the way that the organism lives, kind of like its job or the job that it contributes to the ecosystem. And so this is how it lives. So we have to look at where it lives and also how it lives. So when you do that, you have to look at factors involved. There's either abiotic factors, which are non-living aspects of an ecosystem, or biotic factors, which are the living parts of the ecosystem. So abiotic factors would be things like sunlight, water, air, soil, rocks. Biotic factors are going to be your plants and your animals and anything involved in their lives. So even if it's a decomposing organism, it was once alive, so that would be a biotic factor. Then your community is all of the living things that inhabit the same ecosystem. So this would be multiple species of animals, multiple species of plants, all living in the same area and inhabit the same ecosystem, and that's their community. On the other side, you have a population, which is a group of organisms of the same species that live in the same area. So when you look at population, it has to be the population of that species in a given area. For instance, the population of Jacksonville is looking at the number of humans in the Jacksonville city limits. The population of Florida would be the number of humans in the Florida state limits. So review questions to think about. Number 1, why do you think NASA is thinking of sending a probe to Europa to search for life rather than to the moon or Mars, which are both neighbors of Earth? Definitely something to think about, why we would go further out instead of the two bodies that are closer to us. And also really consider the purpose of the universe. And Carl Sagan's quote, "The universe is a pretty big place if it's just us, seems like an awful waste of space." Think of that in light of Psalm 19:1. If you look at that, it's talking about how the heavens declare the glory of God. And really it's not about us, so it's not a waste of space. The heavens are here to declare the glory of God, not for us.